The emergency signal came at 0347 Galactic Standard Time. It was weak, broken, and filled with static. But the words that came through the speakers in the Galactic Council chamber made everyone freeze. "This is Mining Colony 7 on Kepler 44b. We have a problem. Something big is coming up from the planet core. It is eating everything. Buildings, ships, even the air. Send help. Please send help now." Then the signal died. Ambassador Taman sat in the human section of the Great Council chamber. The room was huge, with seats for over 200 different alien species. Most of the seats were empty today. Only the major powers came to emergency sessions like this one. The insect-like. Veltar clicked their mandibles nervously in their section. Their leader, High Counselor Velanash, was a creature the size of a small truck, with 6 arms and compound eyes that never stopped moving. The Veltar were known across the galaxy as the best military strategists. In the gas section, the Nimhul floated in their containment suits, looked like living clouds of colored smoke. Counselor Nimreth was purple today, which meant she was worried. The Nimpool were the galaxy's top scientists and engineers. The crystal beings called the Korth sat in their special heat section. They looked like walking diamonds that caught and reflected light in beautiful patterns. Counselor Zephyr was their speaker. The Korth were the oldest species in the galaxy and knew more about cosmic forces than anyone else. Then there were the humans, just Taman and 2 assistants. Earth was still new to the galactic community. Most species saw humans as interesting but not very important. The main screen showed Kepler 44 to be from orbit. The planet looked normal at first. Blue oceans, brown continents, white clouds. But as Taman watched, he could see something wrong. There was a dark spot on the largest continent. It was growing. Status report ordered Council President Mordok, a tall gray being with 4 eyes and no mouth. He spoke through a device on his chest. High Counselor Velanash stood up. 6 arms moved as she talked, pulling up data screens in the air. Colony 7 had 17,000 beings living there. It's mostly miners working the deep crystal formations. 3 days ago, seismic sensors detected unusual activity in the planet core. She pressed something, and the main screen changed. It showed underground maps of the mining operations. Hundreds of tunnels went deep into the planet, some reaching almost to the core itself. The miners reported strange energy readings from the deepest shafts. Then the earthquakes started. Small ones at first, then bigger ones. Yesterday something broke through the surface. The screen changed again. This time it showed a video from one of the mining stations. Taman leaned forward to see better. At first the video looked normal. Miners in safety suits were working with big machines, cutting into the rock face. Then the ground started to shake. The miners looked around, confused. One of them pointed at something off camera and shouted. The camera turned. Where solid rock had been moments before, there was now a hole. But this was not a normal hole. The edges glowed with a strange blue light, and from inside the hole, something was coming up. It looked like liquid crystal, but it moved with purpose. It's flowing upward like water, but catching light like a diamond. As it touched the mining equipment, the machines simply disappeared. Not destroyed, not melted. It's just gone, as if they had never existed. The miners ran. The camera kept recording as the crystal thing spread across the mining station. Everything it touched vanished. Buildings, vehicles, even the ground itself. The crystal thing seemed to get bigger and brighter with each thing it consumed. The video ended when the crystal reached the camera. "What is that thing?" asked Counselor Nimreth. Her purple gas form was flickering faster now, which meant she was very worried. Counselor Zephyr. The crystal being made a sound like wind chimes. In a storm? We have seen something like this before. Long ago. Before most of your species reached space. We call them devourers. The chamber went quiet. Even the air recycling system seemed to pause. Devourers. President Mordok's voice came out flat. Through his speaking device, ancient things that sleep in planet cores, Zephyr explained. They wake up sometimes when disturbed. They consume matter and convert it to energy. Then they use that energy to grow bigger and consume more matter. If left alone, they can eat entire star systems. High Counselor Velanash pulled up more screens. Our military analysis confirms this. The entity has consumed approximately 30% of the colony infrastructure. Its energy signature grows stronger every hour. Current projections show it will consume the entire planet's surface within 6 days. Evacuation protocols are in effect, announced President Murdoch. All species with ships in the system will assist in removing survivors. What about fighting it? Taman spoke for the first time. All eyes turned to him. He was young for a human ambassador, maybe 35 standard years.
Ow.
His black hair was neat, and his blue uniform was clean. But his eyes showed he had seen difficult things before. Counselor Nimrith's gas form turned from purple to red, which was the color of impossible things. Fight it. Ambassador Taman, this entity has energy shields that our best weapons cannot penetrate. Its matter conversion rate is beyond our understanding. Every attack would only make it stronger. Our combined fleets, added High Counselor Velanash, have approximately 0.003% chance of success against a fully awakened devourer. We must evacuate and establish a quarantine zone around the entire system. 17,000 beings, Taman said quietly. What? Asked President Murdoch. 17,000 beings are still down there, including about 3,000 humans working the deep mines. Counselor Zephyr's crystal form changed color from blue to yellow. Ambassador, we understand your concern for your people. But mathematics does not lie. This entity cannot be stopped by conventional means. The loss of 17,000 is tragic, but acceptable when compared to the billions who will die if this thing spreads to other systems. Taman looked at the main screen. The dark spot on the planet was bigger now, much bigger. He could see it moving, spreading like a stain across the continent. He activated his communicator, a small device on his wrist. This is Ambassador Taman to all human vessels in the Kepler 442 system. Priority Alpha emergency. Do you copy? The response came back immediately, clear and strong, despite the distance. This is Captain Soyoung aboard the mining support ship. Persistence. We copy, Ambassador. What is the situation? Taman looked around the chamber. The alien representatives were watching him with curiosity. They probably expected him to order the human ships to join the evacuation effort. Captain, we have a cosmic entity consuming the planet. Council estimates show no chance of stopping it with conventional weapons. They are ordering full evacuation and system quarantine. There was a pause. Then Captain Soyoung's voice came back, calm and confident. We've got this. The alien representatives looked at each other with confusion. High Counselor Velanash clicked her mandibles rapidly. Did your captain understand the briefing? This entity cannot be stopped. Taman smiled for the first time since the emergency session began. Captain Soyoung understood perfectly. Then why did she say that? Asked Counselor Nimrith. Because, Taman said, looking back at the screen where the dark stain continued. To grow, when humans say we've got this, we mean it. And you're about to learn why you should never doubt us when we say those words. Captain Soyoung stood on the bridge of the mining support ship, Persistence, and watched the alien fleet moving away from Kepler 442. The ships looked like a swarm of fireflies in the black space, their lights getting smaller as they reached what they thought was a safe distance. They are really leaving, said her first officer, Lieutenant Dong Hayan. He was a young man with quick hands and a mind that could fix anything. All of them. Even the big Veltar battleships. Soyoung nodded. She was 38 years old and had been working in space for 15 years. She had seen mining accidents, equipment failures, and space pirates. But she had never seen anything like the thing eating Kepler 44 to be. The captain called Communications Officer Minho from his station. Ambassador Taman is asking for a full report on our fleet status. Send it to him, Soyoung said. Shh. Me through to all human ships in the system? The communication system crackled to life. Soyoung looked at the list of ships on her screen. It was not impressive. 3 mining vessels, including her own. 2 cargo haulers that were older than some of the crew members. 1 patrol ship that should have been scrapped 5 years ago. All ships. This is Captain So-young. Sound off. Iron Will reporting. Captain Jae-sung here. We have 22 crew and full mining equipment. Discovery reporting. This is Dr. Hae-won. Science vessel with 15 crew and full geological survey gear. Cargo 1 reporting.
Captain.
Kyung-soo speaking. 18 crew. Mostly empty cargo holds. Cargo 2 reporting. Captain Bjoram here. 20 crew, some manufacturing equipment in the holds. Patrol ship Guardian reporting. This is Commander Janae. 8 crew, light weapons, and attitude problems. So-young smiled at the last report. Janae always joked, even in serious situations. Total count is 83 humans against a cosmic entity that the entire Galactic Council says cannot be stopped. So, Tuesday, came Janae's voice over the com. Several crew members laughed. It was an old human joke. Impossible problems happened so often to human miners and explorers that they started calling them Tuesday problems. Captain, said Dong Hyan, quietly, are we really going to try this? The alien fleets have weapons we cannot even imagine. If they say it cannot be stopped, Sui-young looked at the main screen. It showed Kepler 44 to be getting closer as they moved toward it instead of away. The dark spot on the surface was much bigger now. She could see it moving like a living thing. Dong Hyan, how many impossible things have we fixed this year? The young officer thought about it. It's the mining station at Alpha 7 when the reactor went critical. It's the cargo ship that lost life support in the asteroid field. It's the colony transport that got hit by solar flares. And how many people said those problems could not be solved? All of them, Captain. Right. Dr. Hae-won, what do your sensors tell you about this devourer thing? The scientist's voice came through, the come from the discovery. It's very interesting. Readings, Captain. It appears to be converting matter directly to energy and storing that energy in a crystalline matrix structure. Each time it consumes something, it grows larger and more powerful. So it eats things and gets stronger, said Captain Jae-sung from the Iron Will. What happens if we do not feed it? Brilliant question, replied Dr. Hae-won. If we could somehow starve it or make it consume something that damages it instead of strengthens it. Like giving a person bad food? Suggested Minho. Exactly like that, said Dr. Hae-won. But the challenge is finding something that would be toxic to an entity that can apparently digest any form of matter. Commander Janae's voice cut in from the Guardian. What if we do not try to poison it? What if we just give it really bad directions? So-young raised an eyebrow. Explain that, Janae. Well, this thing came from deep in the planet, right? It has been sleeping down there for millions of years. Maybe it woke up confused. Maybe it does not know what it is supposed to be eating. Dr. Hae-won's excited voice came through the speakers. Commander Janae might be onto something. My geological scans show that the mining operations disrupted several deep energy patterns in the planet core. The devourer might have awakened, thinking it was supposed to start some kind of ancient process. Like a computer program that got started by accident, said Dong Hyan. Yes, but a computer program made of living crystal that can eat spaceships, added Captain Kyung-soo dryly. So-young watched the planet grow larger on the screen. They were getting close now. Close enough to see the devourer with their own eyes. It looked like a moving mountain made of blue-white crystal. Lightning danced across its surface, and wherever it touched the ground, everything simply vanished. Captain, said her sensor officer, a young woman named Hejin, I'm picking up communication signals from the planet's surface. There are still people alive down there. Where? Underground. The mining tunnels that have not been consumed yet. About 400 survivors scattered across 12 locations. So-young felt her jaw tighten. 400 people trapped underground while a cosmic monster ate their world above them? The alien fleets had written them off as acceptable losses. All ships, she said into the comm. We have survivors on the surface. That changes our mission. From impossible to really impossible, commented Jean. Captain So-young came Ambassador Taemin's voice from the council station. Are you certain about this course of action? The alien representatives are monitoring your communications. They believe you are about to commit suicide. So-young looked around her bridge. Her crew was young, mostly in their 20s and 30s. They had signed up to mine asteroids and fix equipment, not fight cosmic entities, but every face she saw was determined. Ambassador, patch us through to the alien fleet. Done, Captain. So-young cleared her throat. Attention, alien vessels. This is Captain So-young of the human fleet. We know you can hear us. Her communication officer nodded that they had an open channel to all ships in the system. We appreciate your concern for our safety. We understand that your computers say this mission has 0 chance of success. We understand that you think we're about to die in a very stupid way. She paused and looked at the devourer on the screen. It was beautiful in a terrifying way, like a living jewel the size of a city. But you have not been around humans very long. You have not seen what we do when someone tells us something is impossible. You have not seen what happens when we say we've got this. Captain Jae-sung's voice came over the comm. Should we tell them about the time we fixed a fusion reactor? With mining tape and coffee? Or when we built a space elevator out of cargo containers? Added Captain Bioram. Or when Dr. Haewon figured out how to make artificial gravity using sonic mining equipment? Suggested Commander Jin-Dash. So-young smiled. No, let's show them instead. All ships move to attack formation. Attack formation? Asked Dong Hyen. Captain, we do not have an attack formation. We do now. Dr. Haewon, I need a full analysis of that thing's energy patterns. Jae-sung, start preparing your mining charges for unconventional use. Kunsu, Baram, how fast can you modify your cargo systems? Gane, your ship might be old, but does it still have mining scanners? Yes, Captain. Good. Everyone listen. Carefully. We are not going to fight this thing the way a military fleet would fight it. We are going to fix it. The comm was quiet for a moment, and Dr. Haewon's voice came through, excited and curious. Fix it, Captain. What do you mean fix? It. So-young watched the devourer consuming another section of the planet's surface. I mean, we are going to treat this like any other broken piece of equipment. We are going to figure out what is wrong with it, and then we are going to make it work. The way it is supposed to work. And if we are wrong about what it is supposed to do, asked Captain Jae-sung, then we will try something else. We always do. The human fleet moved toward the planet where impossible waited for them. Behind them, the alien ships watched in amazement and terror. Ambassador Taemin's voice came over the comm one more time. Captain, the Alien Council wants to know if you have some kind of secret weapon. So-young looked at her crew at the old ships held together with determination and spare parts. At the mining equipment they were about to use in ways it was never designed for. Tell them yes, Ambassador. We have the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy. What weapon is that? Humans who refuse to quit. The human fleet split into 3 groups as they approached Kepler 4-4b from the safety of the alien observation zone. The council representatives watched through their long-range sensors with growing confusion. They are dividing their forces, observed High Counselor Velenash, her 6 arms working frantically at multiple control panels. Basic military doctrine states, you never divide forces when facing a superior enemy. Perhaps they do not understand basic military doctrine, suggested Counselor Nimrith. Her purple gas form flickering with uncertainty. Ambassador Taemin, still aboard the council station, simply shook his head. They understand it perfectly. They're just choosing to ignore it. Captain So-young led Team Alpha toward the planet's surface. Her ship Persistence was joined by Captain Jae-sung's mining vessel Iron Will and Commander Jin-ae's patrol ship, Guardian. Their mission looked impossible, even by human standards. Land on a planet being consumed by a cosmic entity and rescue survivors. Atmospheric readings are all wrong, reported Sensor Officer Hae-jin as they entered the planet's atmosphere. The Devourer is not just eating solid matter, it's consuming the air itself. Through the main screen, they could see the entity more clearly now. It moved like a living mountain of crystal, each facet catching and reflecting light and patterns. That hurt to look at directly. Where it touched the ground, everything simply ceased to exist. Buildings, vehicles, even the soil disappeared without leaving so much as dust behind. There, pointed Captain Jae-sung over the comm. Grid, reference 7 Alpha. I am picking up human life signs underground. So-young guided her ship toward the coordinates. They found a mining station that looked abandoned from above, but thermal scans showed people hiding in the underground tunnels. This is Captain So-young to anyone listening below. We are here to get you out. The response came immediately, filled with static but clearly relieved. Captain, this is Foreman Solji. We have 37 people down here. The tunnel entrance collapsed 2 hours ago. Can you reach the emergency shaft? Negative. The Devourer passed over it 20 minutes ago? There is nothing left but a big hole in the ground. So-young looked at her crew. Ideas. We drill, said Donghayan simply. The Iron Will has deep-bore mining equipment. We go straight down and pull them up. While that thing is eating the planet around us? Asked Commander Jin'e. Fast drilling, clarified Donghayan. Meanwhile, Team Beta was working on something that looked completely insane. Captain Kyung-soo and Captain Boyram had taken their cargo ships to the asteroid belt that orbited the outer edge of the system. They were using mining charges to hollow out space rocks the size of office buildings. This is never going to work, muttered cargo specialist Wu Jin, as he watched another asteroid being carved apart by controlled explosions. We are making the galaxy's most expensive fireworks. Captain Kyung-soo floated past him in the zero gravity of the cargo hold, guiding a container of emergency fuel toward the hollowed-out asteroid. Not fireworks? Surprise packages? What kind of surprise? The kind that gives cosmic entities indigestion? Each asteroid was being filled with emergency fuel supplies, spare reactor cores, and anything else that contained concentrated energy. But the energy was being stored in a very specific way. Following instructions that Dr. Haewon had transmitted from her science ship, the fuel mixture needs to burn at exactly 2.7 terahertz. Dr. Haewon's voice came through the com. Any other frequency and this will not work? What exactly are we trying to do? Asked Captain Boram, as she supervised the loading of another asteroid bomb. We are going to give the Devourer a very specific type of meal, replied Dr. Haewon. One that will make it pay attention to us instead of the planet. Team Gamma had the most impossible job of all. Dr. Haewon aboard the Science. Vessel Discovery was working with a team of engineers to convert mining equipment into something that had never existed before. Explain this to me again, said Chief. Engineer Minwoo, as he stared at the blueprints Dr. Haewon had created. We are turning asteroid mining charges into a quantum frequency generator. It's not just any frequency generator, Dr. Haewon corrected. The biggest tuning fork in galactic history. She pointed to her scans of the Devourer. This entity maintains its structure using quantum resonance. Every atom in its body vibrates at the same frequency. Change that frequency, and the whole thing becomes unstable. Like an opera singer breaking a wine glass with her voice. Exactly like that. But the wine glass is the size of a moon and made of living crystal. The engineering team looked at each other with expressions that mixed excitement and terror. They were being asked to build a weapon that could theoretically destabilize matter at the quantum level using equipment designed to crack open asteroids. The power requirements alone, began Engineer Sunjo. We will use the planet's geothermal network, Dr. Haewon interrupted. The mining colony tapped directly into the planet's core for power. If we can reroute that energy through our quantum, RESONATORS, ... You want to turn an entire planet into a weapon? Asked Minwoo. I want to turn an entire planet into a musical instrument, one that plays a note the Devourer cannot ignore. Back on the planet's surface, Team Alpha was making progress. The Iron Will had drilled down to the trapped miners and was pulling them up in groups of 5. Each rescue took precious minutes, and the Devourer was getting closer. How many more? Asked Captain So-young, as another group of survivors was loaded onto her ship. 12 people left, reported Jae-sung. But Captain, that thing is less than 2 kilometers away now. Through the cockpit window, they could see the Devourer approaching like a slow-motion avalanche made of light and crystal. The ground shook with each step it took, and the air itself seemed to bend around its massive form. Faster, urged So-young. Captain, came Dr. Haewon's voice over the comm. How long until you complete the evacuation? 10 minutes, if we are lucky. We need 15 minutes to finish the quantum resonator array. Then you have 15 minutes. Captain, the Devourer will reach your position in 8 minutes. So-young looked at her crew, then at the survivors crowding her cargo hold. Scared faces, mostly miners and technicians, who had never expected their routine jobs to involve cosmic entities. Then we hold it for 7 minutes longer than we should be able to. From the alien observation zone, the council representatives watched the human operations with growing amazement. They are attempting 3 impossible tasks simultaneously, observed Counselor Zephyr, their crystal form glowing with confusion. Evacuation under fire, asteroid weaponization, and quantum manipulation with primitive equipment, and somehow added High Counselor Velanash. Their coordination is perfect. Each team is working in exact synchronization with the others. How is this possible? Asked Counselor Nimrith. Ambassador Taman monitored the human communications with pride, because they have all worked together before. Mining crews, cargo haulers, patrol ships. They have been solving impossible problems as a team for years. Oh, but never anything like this. No, Taman agreed. But the principle is the same. Humans do not see impossible problems. We see puzzles that need creative solutions. On the planet surface, the last group of survivors was being pulled from the underground tunnels. The Devourer was so close now that its energy field was interfering with their equipment. That is everyone, reported Jae-soon. All survivors are aboard. Team Beta, status report, called So-young. Asteroid bombs are ready and positioned, replied Captain Kyunsu. Waiting for your signal, Team Gamma. Quantum resonators are online, reported Dr. Haewon. But Captain, I need to warn you. This has never been tested. We are working from pure theory. Story of our lives, muttered Commander Jinny. All teams prepare for coordinated attack, announced So-young. Remember, we are not trying to destroy this thing. We are trying to get its attention. What if we get its attention and it decides it does not like us? Asked Captain Bo-Ram. So-young. Watch the Devourer through her cockpit window. It was beautiful and terrible, like a living star walking across the planet's surface. Then we try Plan B. What is Plan B? Asked several voices over the comm. So-young smiled grimly. We think of Plan B after Plan A does not work. That is how humans operate. The Devourer took another step toward them. The ground cracked under its weight, and strange lights danced in the air around its crystalline body. All teams, So-young said quietly. Remember, the aliens think this is impossible. Let us show them what humans do with impossible. Execute. On my mark, she continued. 3, ... 2, ... mark. And the most audacious plan in galactic history began. The Devourer broke through the planet's crust like a crystal mountain coming to life. It rose from the ground slowly, each movement causing earthquakes that could be felt from orbit. The entity was massive beyond comprehension, larger than the biggest human cities, and it glowed with an inner light that made the stars look dim. Captain So-young watched from the cockpit of the Persistence as the creature fully emerged. All teams, this is it. The thing is awake and very unhappy. The Devourer immediately began consuming everything around it. The atmosphere itself disappeared into its crystalline body. Rocks, soil, even the electromagnetic field of the planet seemed to flow into the entity like water being sucked down a drain. It is growing, reported Dr. Haewon from the Discovery. Every second it consumes matter, it gets bigger and more powerful. From the alien observation zone, the council representatives watched in horror as their worst fears came true. The entity was even more dangerous than their oldest records had suggested. The humans must retreat now, insisted High Counselor Velanash. If they stay any longer, they will be consumed as well. But the human fleet was moving closer, not farther away. Team Alpha, begin Phase 1, ordered Captain So-young. The 3 ships of Team Alpha swooped low over the planet's surface. They moved in perfect formation, dodging the energy fields that crackled around the Devourer's massive form. Their target was not the entity itself, but the ground around it. Deploying mining charges now, reported Captain Jae-soon from the Iron Will. The mining charges were not ordinary explosives. Dr. Haywan had modified them to create very specific types of explosions. Instead of trying to damage the Devourer, they were designed to crack the planet's crust in precise patterns. The explosions went off in sequence, each one exactly timed to create a chain reaction through the rock layers below. Within minutes, the humans had fractured the planetary crust in a grid pattern that stretched for hundreds of kilometers. "What are they doing?" asked Counselor Nimrith, her gas form flickering between purple and red with confusion. "They're exposing the geothermal network," explained Ambassador Taman. "The mining colony used underground heat sources for power. Now they are giving the Devourer access to all of them at once." The entity paused in its consumption. For the first time since it had awakened, the Devourer seemed to notice something other than the matter it was eating. Energy began flowing up from the planet's core through the cracks the humans had created. "It is working," reported Dr. Haywan excitedly. "The entity is drawing power from the geothermal sources instead of consuming surface matter." "Phase 2. announced Captain Soyoung. "Team Beta, you are clear to deliver your presence." High above the planet, Captain Kung Su and Captain Boram released their modified asteroids. The space rocks had been hollowed out and filled with concentrated energy sources, but they were more than just bombs. Each asteroid had been programmed to explode at exactly the right moment to create a resonance pattern through space itself. "Asteroid delivery in 3.2.1, called Captain Kyunsu. The asteroids exploded in a carefully orchestrated sequence. Each explosion created a specific frequency of energy that traveled through space toward the Devourer. The entity was suddenly surrounded by waves of resonating energy. It's all vibrating at frequencies that Dr. Haywan had calculated would interfere with its quantum structure. The Devourer stopped moving entirely. Its crystalline body began to pulse with different colors as it tried to process the conflicting energy signals it was receiving. "Credible," whispered Counselor Zephyr from the alien observation zone. "They are confusing a cosmic entity." Phase 3, called Captain Soyoung. "Dr. Haywan, activate the quantum resonators." Team Gamma had spent the last hour connecting every piece of mining equipment on the planet into a single massive device. Drill miners, or processors, even the fusion reactors that powered the mining stations had all been linked together and modified to generate quantum frequencies. "Activating now," reported Dr. Haywan. The planet itself became a weapon.
Every
Mining tunnel, every geothermal tap, every piece of equipment left behind by the evacuated colonists began generating the same quantum frequency. The entire world started vibrating like a giant tuning fork. The effect on the Devourer was immediate and dramatic. The entity began to shake, its crystalline structure flickering between solid and energy states. The steady glow that had surrounded it since awakening started to pulse erratically. "It is working," shouted Engineer Minwoo over the comm. "The quantum field is destabilizing its molecular cohesion." But the Devourer was not defeated. After a few minutes of confusion, the entity began to adapt. Its crystalline structure started changing, rearranging itself to match the new frequencies the humans were generating. "Oh no," said Dr. Haywan quietly. "It is learning. The entity is modifying its quantum signature to compensate for our interference." Within an hour, the Devourer had not only adapted to the human attack, but had become stronger because of it. The entity began consuming matter faster than before, and its energy output increased dramatically. "All that work," muttered Captain Jae-sung, "and we just made it matter." "Team leaders," called Captain Soyoung, "sound off. How much fuel and equipment do we have left?" "I will hear." "We have about 60% of our mining charges remaining." Discovery reporting. "Most of our equipment is still functional, but power levels are dropping. Cargo teams here. We used most of our asteroid bombs, but we still have some emergency supplies." Guardian reporting. "Weapons are fully charged for whatever good they will do." Captain Soyoung looked at the Devourer through her cockpit window. The entity was now twice the size it had been when they started their attack. It glowed brighter than a small sun, and space itself seemed to bend around its massive form. "Captain," came Ambassador Taman's voice from the council station. "The alien representatives are strongly suggesting immediate retreat. The entity appears to be preparing for some kind of major energy discharge. So-young watched as lightning began crackling. Across the Devourer's surface, the creature was gathering power, probably preparing to expand its consumption to include the human ships. Ambassador, tell the Council we appreciate their concern, but we are not done yet. Captain, said Donghain quietly, what is Plan B? So-young was quiet for a moment, thinking. Her crew waited, the other ship captains waited, even the alien observers waited for her answer. Plan B, she said finally, is we stop trying to fight this thing and start trying to understand it. Understand it? Asked Dr. Haywan. Yes, we have been treating the Devourer like a monster that needs to be stopped. But what if it is not a monster? What if it is just a very powerful tool that someone left running? Commander Gina's voice came over the cum. You mean like a mining robot that got stuck in a loop? Exactly like that? Dr. Haywan, you said the mining operations woke this thing up. What if the Devourer is not supposed to be eating random planets? What if it is supposed to be building something specific? Dr. Haywan was quiet for several minutes, running calculations. When she spoke again, her voice was excited. Captain, you might be right. The energy patterns I am seeing. The entity is not just consuming matter randomly. It is selecting specific types of materials and converting them in very precise ways, like it is following a recipe. Yes, but a recipe for what? The Devourer finished gathering energy and released a massive pulse that lit up half the star system. But instead of attacking the human ships, the pulse seemed to scan them, as if the entity was trying to understand what they were. It is studying us, realized Captain So-young. It's just like we are trying to study it. All ships, she announced. New plan. We are going to try something that has never been attempted in galactic history. What is that? Asked several voices. At once we are going to try talking to it. The Alien Council representatives could hardly believe what they were hearing through the intercepted communications. They want to communicate with a cosmic force of destruction, asked High Counselor Velinash. Impossible, stated Counselor Nimrith. The entity operates on energy levels far beyond any known communication protocols. But Ambassador Taman was smiling. You still do not understand? When humans say something is impossible, that just means we have not figured out how to do it. Yet, on the planet below, the Devourer waited, its crystalline body pulsing with patient light, as if it too was curious about what these strange small beings would try next. Dr. Haywan stared at her sensor readings for the 10th time in an hour. Something about the Devourer's behavior was bothering her, but she could not figure out what it was. Captain So-young, she called over the cum, I need to run some more detailed scans. Can you keep the entity distracted for a few minutes? How exactly do we distract a cosmic force of nature? Asked Commander Guinea from the Guardian. Very carefully, replied So-young. All ships maintain current distance, but keep moving. Make it obvious we are here, but do not threaten it. The human fleet spread out in a loose formation around the Devourer. The entity seemed to watch them with interest, its crystalline surface shifting colors as different ships moved past. Dr. Haywan worked frantically at her sensor controls. She was looking for something specific, a pattern that had been nagging at her since the first attack failed. Got it, she said suddenly. Captain, the Devourer is not actually destroying the matter it consumes. What do you mean? Asked Captain. Just soon we saw it eat half the mining colony. Yes, but the matter did not disappear. It was converted to energy and moved somewhere else. Look at these readings. Dr. Haywan transmitted her sensor data to all the ships. The displays showed energy patterns flowing from the Devourer into what appeared to be empty space. There is some kind of dimensional gateway opening near the entity, she explained. All the matter it consumes is being sent through that gateway. To somewhere else? Somewhere else where? Asked Captain Kumsu. I think, said Dr. Haywan slowly, it is being sent to a construction site. The implications hit everyone at the same time. The Devourer was not a destroyer. It was a construction robot, gathering materials for some massive project. But construction of what? Wondered Captain Bodash Ram. Dr. Haywan checked her readings again. Something big. Really big. Based on the energy flows I am detecting, Whatever is being built on the other side of that gateway is the size of a small moon. Captain Soyoung thought about this new information. Dr. Haewon, you said the mining operations woke this thing up. What if the Devourer was programmed to activate when enough raw materials were available? That would make sense, agreed Dr. Haewon. The deep mining exposed high-energy crystals that the entity needed to begin its work. So it woke up, sensed all these materials on the planet's surface, and started the collection process, continued Soyoung. But it was programmed to gather materials from uninhabited worlds. Engineer Minwoo's voice came over the cum from the Discovery. Captain, are you saying this thing made a mistake? I am saying it is doing exactly what it was programmed to do. But the situation changed while it was sleeping. When it was built, this planet probably was uninhabited. The Alien Council representatives listened to this conversation with growing amazement. They have determined the entity's purpose through observation and logical reasoning, said Counselor Zephyr, their crystal form glowing with admiration. In less than 6 hours, they have solved a mystery that our records could not explain. But what do they plan to do with this knowledge? Asked High Counselor Velanash. Ambassador Taman smiled. Knowing humans, they will try to fix it. On the Discovery, Dr. Haewon was already working on exactly that. If we can figure out how to communicate with the Devourer, we might be able to give it better instructions. How do you talk to a living mountain made of crystal? Asked Captain Jae-sung. The same way we would talk to any other machine, replied Dr. Haewon. We find its communication frequency and send it the right signals. She began analyzing the energy patterns the Devourer was using to control its dimensional gateway. The entity communicates using quantum frequency modulation. It is like radio, but much more complex. Can we duplicate that? Asked Engineer Minwoo. Some modifications to our equipment? Yes, but we will need to be very careful about what we say. One wrong signal, and we might accidentally tell it to eat the entire star system. Captain Soyoung made a decision. Do it. Modify the equipment. We will give this thing new instructions. What kind of instructions? Asked Commander Gane. We tell it to use materials that do not include inhabited planets. For the next 3 hours, the human fleet worked together to create the most complex communication device in galactic history. They connected mining scanners, communication arrays, and even the quantum resonators they had used in their failed attack. Dr. Haewon carefully programmed the new device to speak the Devourer's language. I am going to start with something simple, she announced. Just a basic greeting to see if it responds. The communication array sent out a carefully modulated quantum signal toward the Devourer. The entity immediately stopped all activity and turned toward the source of the signal. It heard us, whispered Captain Bjoram. The Devourer's response came as a flood of quantum data that nearly overloaded their equipment. Dr. Haewon worked frantically to translate the information. It is asking for identification and authorization. Codes, she reported. The entity wants to know who we are and if we have permission to give it orders. What do we tell it? Asked Captain Kyun-Soo. Dr. Haewon thought for a moment. We tell it the truth. We are the current inhabitants of this star system, and we are authorizing it to continue its work using uninhabited materials only. She programmed a new message and sent it to the Devourer. This time, the entity's response was much calmer. It sent back what appeared to be a detailed report of its current project. Incredible, said Dr. Haewon as she translated the data. It is building some kind of transportation device, a gateway that can connect distant star systems, like a highway through space, suggested Engineer Minwoo. Exactly like that. The construction requires enormous amounts of specific materials. The entity was programmed to gather those materials from the most convenient sources. Captain Soyoung understood immediately. When it woke up, the most convenient source was an inhabited planet. So we give it a better source, said Captain Jae-sung. This system has plenty of uninhabited asteroids and dead planets. Dr. Haewon was already programming the new instructions. I am sending it a complete survey of available materials in the system. Asteroids, abandoned space stations, even some of the outer planets that have no life. The response from the Devourer was immediate and positive. The entity began moving away from Kepler 44 to be toward the asteroid belt where Team Beta had been working earlier. It is accepting the new instructions, reported Dr. HFY excitedly. The entity is redirecting its collection operations to uninhabited sources. From the alien observation zone, the Council representatives watched in disbelief as the cosmic threat simply flew away from the inhabited planet and began carefully dismantling asteroids instead. They reprogrammed it, said Counselor Nimrith, her gas form cycling through colors of amazement. The humans took a cosmic force of destruction and gave it a new job. No, not a new job, corrected Ambassador Taman. They helped it do its original job correctly. High Counselor Velanash was quiet for a long moment. We have been afraid of devourers for millions of years. Our oldest records speak of them as unstoppable forces of destruction. But the humans simply asked what it was trying to accomplish and helped it do better. Over the next several hours, the devourer worked efficiently through the asteroid belt, gathering exactly the materials it needed. The dimensional gateway near the entity grew brighter and more stable as construction progressed on the other side. Captain Soyoung gathered all the human ship captains for a final conference call. Excellent work, everyone. We saved the colonists, reprogrammed a cosmic entity, and apparently helped build a galactic highway system. All in a day's work, commented. Commander Jin, Captain, called Dr. HFY. The Devourer is sending us another message. What does it say? Dr. HFY paused as she translated the quantum signals. It says, "Thank you," and it wants to know if we would be interested in a construction job. The human fleet looked at each other through their communication screens. Had started the day as miners and cargo haulers. Now they were apparently being offered work as cosmic construction contractors. What kind of construction job? Asked Captain Soyoung. According to this data, said Dr. HFY, there are 17 other devourers sleeping in star systems across the galaxy. They all need to be awakened and given proper instructions to complete the Galactic Highway project. 17 more. Cosmic entities that need to be reprogrammed, asked Captain Jasun. Apparently, Captain Soyoung looked at her crew, then at the other ship captains on her screen. They were tired, their ships were running low on fuel, and they had just survived an encounter with a cosmic force that the entire Galactic Council had declared unstoppable. Well, she said finally, it sounds like we have job security. Are we really going to do this? It asked Captain Bodashram. Soyoung watched the Devourer efficiently processing asteroid materials in the distance. The entity worked with precision and purpose, no longer a mindless force of destruction, but a valuable member of a galactic construction project. We have got this, she said simply, and somewhere in the back of her mind, she was already wondering what impossible thing they would be asked to fix tomorrow. 3 days later, the Devourer finished its work. The entity had processed millions of tons of asteroid material and fed it all through the dimensional gateway it had been maintaining. Then, without warning, both the Devourer and the gateway simply vanished. In their place was something that made the entire Galactic Council speechless. A massive ring of crystalline material floated in space where the gateway had been. The ring was perfectly smooth and glowed with a soft blue light. It was big enough for the largest starships to fly through. And energy readings showed it was connected to something far across the galaxy. Transportation readings confirmed, reported Dr. HFY from the Discovery, this is a functional interstellar gateway. Travel time to the Andromeda sector has been reduced from 6 months to 6 hours. Captain Soyoung floated in the zero gravity of her ship's observation deck, looking at the gateway through the large window. Her crew had gathered around her, all of them still trying to process what they had accomplished. So we saved a planet, said Engineer Donghain slowly. Reprogrammed a cosmic entity, added Communications Officer Minho, and accidentally built the most advanced transportation device in galactic history. Finished Sensor Officer, HAE-Jin. Captain Soyoung nodded. Tuesday, the crew laughed. It had become their favorite joke over the past few days. No matter how impossible a problem seemed, it always turned out to be just another Tuesday for humans. On the council station, formal post-crisis meeting was in session. The Great Chamber was fuller than it had been in years. Word of what the humans had done had spread across the galaxy. Species that had never shown interest in council fairs were sending representatives to see the aftermath. Ambassador Timon sat in the human section, trying not to smile too widely as alien after alien stood up to give their official reports. High Counselor Velanash spoke first. Her 6 arms moved nervously as she read from her data tablet. Military analysis confirms that the human fleet achieved a success rate of 100% with a calculated probability of success at 0.003%. She paused and looked directly at Timon. According to all known mathematical models, what they accomplished was impossible. Counselor Nimrith was next. Her purple gas form flickered with colors that indicated deep confusion mixed with admiration. Scientific analysis shows that the humans solved a cosmic mystery that our best researchers had been unable to explain for over 2 million years. They accomplished this, she continued, using mining equipment, cargo containers, and what they described as stubborn thinking. Counselor Zephyr's crystalline form glowed brighter as they spoke. The Korth have observed cosmic phenomena for longer than most species have existed. You have records of 17 devourer incidents across galactic history. In every previous case, entire star systems were consumed before the entities could be stopped. Zephyr's light pulsed with what might have been amazement. The humans are the first species to not only stop a devourer, but to successfully communicate with one and redirect its purpose. Furthermore, Zephyr added, they have provided the galaxy with a transportation network that will revolutionize interstellar travel for all species. Council President Mordok stood at the center of the chamber. His 4 gray eyes focused on Ambassador Timon as he spoke through his chest device. Ambassador Timon, the Council wishes to extend formal recognition to the human fleet for their actions in the Kepler 442 system. Timon stood and bowed slightly. The Council's recognition is appreciated, President Mordok. But honestly, my people were just doing their job. Their job, asked High Counselor Velanash. Solving problems that everyone else thinks cannot be solved. There was a long silence in the chamber. Then Counselor Nimrith asked the question that was on everyone's mind. Ambassador, how did they know it would work? The probability calculations clearly showed that their plan should have failed. Timon thought about how to explain human nature. 2 beings who relied entirely on mathematical certainty. Counselor, humans have a saying. When someone tells us something is impossible, we do not hear impossible. We hear that no one has figured out how to do it yet. But they risked their lives on an untested theory, protested High Counselor Velanash. They risked their lives to save 17,000 people who everyone else had written off as acceptable losses. President Mordok's voice came out flat and mechanical through his speaking device. The Devourer has sent the Council a formal communication. Through the transportation gateway, every being in the chamber turned to look at him. Cosmic entities did not usually send formal communications to galactic governments. The entity expresses gratitude for the assistance provided by the human fleet. It also requests permission to hire humans as coordinators for the remaining 17 gateway construction projects across the galaxy. The chamber erupted in surprised sounds from dozens of different species. Clicking, whistling, gas form flickering, and crystalline chiming filled the air. The Devourer wants to hire humans, asked Counselor Zephyr. Apparently, said President Mordok, cosmic entities appreciate human problem-solving methods. Ambassador Timon activated his communicator to contact the human fleet. Captain Soyoung, are you receiving the council session transmission? We are, Ambassador. Did we just get offered a job by a cosmic entity? It appears so. 17. More construction projects across the galaxy, each one requiring a devourer to be awakened and properly instructed. There was a pause. Then Captain Soyoung's voice came back, calm and confident. We will need bigger ships and more equipment. And probably hazard pay. But yes, we can do it. Are you certain? 17 more projects means 17 more impossible situations. Ambassador, came the voice of Dr. Haywan over the comm. We have learned something important about impossible situations. What is that, Doctor? They're only impossible until someone figures out how to make them possible. Commander Janae's voice added. Besides, someone has to keep these cosmic construction robots from eating inhabited planets. Might as well be us. The alien representatives in the council chamber listened to this conversation with expressions ranging from amazement to disbelief. They are treating cosmic entity management as routine maintenance work, observed Counselor Nimrith, because, to them, said Ambassador Taman, that is exactly what it is. President Mordok called for order in the chamber. The council will vote on the Devourer's request to employ human coordinators for the Galactic Gateway project. The vote was unanimous. Every species agreed that if cosmic entities wanted to work with humans, it was probably a very good idea to let them. As the council session ended, the alien representatives made notes in their official records. The Veltar military updated their tactical manuals to include a new category called Human Solutions for Problems that Appeared Impossible. The Nimpole scientists began studying human decision-making processes. The Korth added humans to their list of species worth watching for cosmic-level problem-solving. But the most important change was in how they thought about the word impossible. High Counselor. Velanash sent a message to all Veltar military commanders across the galaxy. When humans say we have got this, believe them. Do not question their methods. Do not suggest alternatives. And never, under any circumstances, bet against them. Counselor Nimrith issued a scientific directive to all research stations. Humans volunteered to solve an impossible problem, give them whatever resources they request, and stay out of their way. Counselor Zephyr updated the Korth historical records with a simple note. Humanity discovered 2,387 galactic standard. Significance: species capable of accomplishing mathematical impossibilities through stubborn creativity. Captain Soyoung and her fleet returned to routine cargo runs and mining operations. To them, saving a planet and revolutionizing galactic travel had been just another day at work. They were already planning for the next impossible job. Dr. Haywan went back to studying rock formations. Engineer Dong Haeon continued fixing equipment with whatever spare parts he could find. Commander Jin-A resumed patrol duties with her ancient ship. But across the galaxy, 17 sleeping Devourers detected the activation of the first transportation gateway. They began to stir in their planetary cores, waiting for instructions from the strange beings who had taught their brother entity how to do its job properly. And in the Galactic Council chamber, a new rule was quietly added to the official procedures. Manual: when humans say we have got this, clear them a path and watch them work miracles. Because when you are human, impossible is just another word for Tuesday. And there are 7 days in every week. Ambassador Timon looked out at the stars. From his office window on the council station, somewhere out there, 17 more impossible problems were waiting for solutions. He activated his communicator. Captain Soyoung, this is Ambassador Taman. Ready for the next impossible thing? The response came back immediately from 83. Human voices across the fleet. We have got this. And the galaxy learned to believe them.